It's time for another exciting edition of the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle. Stay tuned as we discuss local and national sports from Southeast Missouri and beyond. And now, without further ado, let's get on with the show. The Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle is brought to you by Royal Retros. If you like cool throwback jerseys of defunct sports teams, Royal Retros is the place to buy. If you go to royalretros.com and you order with the code SPORTSDESK, all one word, you can get a little bit off your order. So check out Royal Retros. And now on with the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle.
And we are live with another edition of the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle. I'm Mike Bueller.
I'm Mark Sanders.
And this is Kyle Roberts.
And we have a very full show today. We are going to have Poplar Bluff football coach Jeff Mannon on after a while to talk about the upcoming season. But before we do that, we are going to dive into Major League Baseball. Last night, since we are taping on Wednesday this week, last night was the All-Star game, and I'm going to let Mark and Kyle talk about that because I don't get box out here in the Boondocks.
Well, the 2025 Major League Baseball All-Star Game was what you would expect from an All-Star Game in that it looks nothing like regular season baseball. They used the automatic ball strike system challenge in All-Star Game history. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I think is coming eventually, whether they like it or not, is just computerized balls and strikes calls. And if you've ever watched a home plate umpire just completely butcher balls and strikes, I'm talking to you, Angel Hernandez,
or CB Bucknor. So it's too early to get this angry.
Anyway, the big story out of last night is that the National League blew a 6-zip lead. The American League came back and tied it up 6-6, which meant that they went to, for the first time, a home run derby at the end. And the National League edged the AL 4-3 in homers, and so claimed that victory for the senior circuit. And I know it's just an all-star game, but I'll tell you what, I like the idea. I know it sounds heretical to baseball purists, but I really like the idea of just having a home run derby at the end, just like a shootout in hockey or penalty kicks. So I mean, I could even envision, seeing something like this where you play 3 extra innings. You play the 10th, 11th, and 12th. If you can't get it settled by the 12th, you just send your best hitters up and settle it with dingers.
See, I'm a purist too, but I also feel I'm very flexible, and I look at the game as an adult, but also as a kid. And the kid me that used to get Sports Illustrated for Kids magazine loves the idea of just letting dudes go up there and hit dingers to break a tie, because lest we forget the 2002 game where we're out of players. Joe Torre, you have any players left? No. Bob Brenly, you got any guys left? No. Well, it's a tie then.
Yeah.
You don't want that anymore.
No, not at all. And one of the things that Major League Baseball is going to have to keep in mind is that they're going to have to adapt for modern audiences and the way that modern audiences get their sports and entertainment and information. And just like Mike said, it's not going to be through a broadcast network on cable or satellite. It's going to be on people's phones. It's going to be streaming. And so, you don't have to completely change up the game. But, the pitch clock was a great idea, not allowing batters to adjust 16 pieces of equipment in between every pitch. I mean, that's the sort of just irritating, time-wasting stuff that people don't like about the game. Viewership and attendance is down across the board at baseball games. And the only part of baseball that is really growing in terms of popularity and attendance is the Savannah Bananas. They're selling out football stadiums for their exhibition games. Now, I'm not suggesting that Rob Manfred, well, I am suggesting that Rob Manfred resign, but they don't need to replace him with the genius who invented banana ball, but putting things that are more entertaining and more fun for the fans I think is absolutely necessary for the survival of baseball. You know, if someone doesn't enjoy watching your product, they're going to tune out because, you know, there's 15 other things going on at the same time that they could pay more attention to if they wanted to.
You know, and the key is you've got, and their marketing think tank has got to figure out a way to retain the attention of the audience that they're trying to sell to. I mean, listen, I am a child of the steroid era, and I don't care. It was fun, and baseball should feel fun. But you know what also baseball is terrible at doing? Marketing their players, their stars. Only the NHL is worse. And I think it comes down to in Major League Baseball, you as an individual are not a brand. And in the NHL, you as an individual are not a brand. The team is. The logo is. In the NFL and the NBA, you are your own. You can be your own brand. Michael broke the mold in the NBA to be his own brand. As a kid, the players that epitomized being their own brand was Dion, Mike, and Junior. Right. Also, on an aside, why isn't Junior swing the MLB logo? But that's another story for another day. You have got to get the players with the biggest personalities and the most natural charisma, and showcase them. You know, like, and again, it is, like I always say, in the NHL, the biggest personalities don't always come from the best players. Sidney Crosby's never been on the cover of a video game, and he is now entering his 20th season in the NHL.
That's amazing.
Connor McDavid is when you listen to him in interviews, he is every bit as cookie cutter of a hockey player interview as it gets. Zero personality. It's about the team, this and that and the other. You get a lot of that in baseball. Think about this. Over the last 15 years, arguably the most talented player is Mike Trout. He has the charisma of a wooden plank.
I was about
Meanwhile,
to say, I can't even think of what he looks like. I mean, if you put Mike Trout in a lineup, I couldn't pick him out. I couldn't.
He just looks like a regular dude.
Yeah.
But then, granted, then you got guys with big personalities that the game won't promote and put out that on center front stage. That like guys like Jazz Chisholm Jr. or they stopped putting out Tatis Jr. and all of these players. And I think another issue with the lack of quote popularity, as you're alluding to, with attendance. And I don't think personally, I don't think this should matter. But if you listen to enough talking heads that feel that the face of Major League Baseball should be a U.S.-born player, an English-speaking U.S.-born player. Because I have heard some people indirectly resent the fact that the best player in baseball is Japanese, and the majority of the best players in this league are not born of U.S. English-speaking origin. Do you think that's an issue? It shouldn't matter.
It should. I mean, it shouldn't be. But I mean, look at the country where we're living in, you know, right now, and the attitude that half of our population has about people who aren't, you know, the same color as mayonnaise. So, yeah, that's a topic for a different podcast. So, what we're going to take a look at next is just an overall view of what the second half of the season in Major League Baseball is going to look like. And I'll start with the American League just because it's at the top of my screen. In the East, the Blue Jays are up on the Yankees by a couple of games. I don't think that's going to last, and here's the reason why. The Toronto Blue Jays run differential is plus 17. The Yankees run differential is plus 111.
Toronto's is not a sustainable model.
That's not sustainable.
Also, Mark, look at the fact that first through fourth are only 5.5 apart.
I know the AL East is a beast there. our friends, the Tampa Bay Rays, they were in first place when they sent Cameron Meisner back down to the minors, and now they're all the way down in fourth. I think we need to start a campaign to bring Meisner back up to the bigs. Obviously, he was the one who was making the difference there.
We're not saying. We're just saying.
Yeah. The AL Central put a fork in everyone else. The Detroit Tigers are currently 11 and a half games up on their closest competitor, the Minnesota Twins. In fact, Detroit is the only team above 500 in the AL Central.
That tracks with the AL Central.
Yeah, absolutely. Out in the West, unfortunately, we have Houston in first place again. They're 5 games ahead of Seattle, and everyone else is competing for, I don't know what they're competing for. They're not competing for the playoffs, though.
Seattle is 1 out, or no, they're the third wild card team right now.
Seattle's still in the, but here's what I think the AL is going to look like, and I mean, I'm not Nostradamus for making these picks. The Yankees in the East, the Tigers in the Central, Houston in the West, and then my wild card teams are Toronto, Boston, and Seattle.
I just need the Mariners in the playoffs because I need big dumpers hitting nukes in the playoffs. That's all I ask. And also, what a great nickname for Cal Raleigh, Big Dumper. That's a beauty. That's going to go down as an all-time great baseball nickname. But I tend to agree. And I'm a big fan of the Blue Jays. I love Vlad Jr. I just don't think you have got to keep winning close games. And it's not exact, and it's not fair to say, oh, they're going to keep on winning that way.
Yeah.
And
in the National,
what do you got in the NL, man?
Yeah, in the National League, the East and the Central look the same in this respect. The top 2 teams in the East are the Phillies and the Mets. One of those teams is going to win the division, and the other team is going to be a wild card team. The same thing is true in the Central. It's now officially a real race between the Cubs and the Brewers. The Brewers are only a game out of first behind the Cubs. So same situation there. Whichever team wins the Central, the second place team will be a wild card. The Dodgers are going to win the West, and then the Padres currently hold the edge over the Giants and the Cardinals for that third wild card spot. And I really think it comes down to schedule and pitching. The Cardinals currently have a plus 17 run differential. That is identical to the Giants. The Padres only have a plus 7 run differential, so they are clearly, and they really feast at home. The Padres are 31-18 at home, while they're 5 games below 500 on the road at 21-26.
The Padres also have one of the best home field advantages in all of baseball, and they have a roster built for Petco Park, and that really helps them out.
I mean, that's really obvious just how much of a home field advantage that they have. Only the Phillies and the Cubs have a better edge. No, actually, the Brewers are even better at home, sitting at 33-17, and that's identical to the Dodgers. So looking at the Cardinals' second half, and we will get to the Cardinals draft here, but I think I'm going to skip ahead since we're talking about the second half of the season and who we think is going to be in. The Cardinals have a much easier road to play in the second half. They play all of the teams that the Cubs feasted on in the first half of the season. This is how they open up on Friday. 3 at Arizona, 3 at Colorado, and then 4 at home against San Diego. And so they can actually, they can plant their flag firmly in that third wild card spot if they can take 3 out of 4 against San Diego. After that, the Miami Marlins come into town, and hopefully we'll be enjoying Marlin filet here at the end of August. And then as we get into August, 3 at San Diego, 3 at the Dodgers, and then we're back at home for a really impressive homestand. 3 against the Cubs, 3 against the Rockies, and then 3 against the Yankees coming into town. So yeah, if you're looking for an opportunity to get up to St. Louis and spend $400 or $500 on going to see a ball game, and yeah, it's that expensive. Friday, August 15th through Sunday, August 17th, although I would advise against the Sunday game. That's a 1:15 game, and August in St. Louis, you do not want to be outside in the daytime.
That's like Godzilla's breath, y'all.
Yeah. And then just looking ahead, I mean, look at the rest of this schedule. 3 at Miami, 3 at Tampa Bay, 4 at home against Pittsburgh, 3 at Cincinnati, at home against the Athletics. The Athletics, the only homeless team in professional sports. 3 more against the Giants. And then the end of the season gets a little bit tougher. 3 at Seattle, 3 at Milwaukee, back home against Cincinnati and Milwaukee again, and then we finish up the season at San Francisco and at the Cubs. But everything before the middle of September is very winnable for this Cardinals team, and it's the same thing that we've been talking about. It's the same thing that Benjamin Hodgman in the Post-Dispatch was writing about earlier this week. It is consistency. What are you going to get from this Cardinals team? You know, are you going to get the Miles Michaelis who gave up 0 runs in 5 or 6 innings his last start? Or are you going to get the guy who gives up 8 in 3? You know, is the Cardinals lineup going to produce 8 runs, or are they going to get shut out? I mean, it is literally flip a coin in terms of both pitching and offense. Now, their defense is fine. I think their defense is playing really well, especially for a mostly young team. But, flip a coin with the pitching, flip a coin with the hitting, And, yes, we've got Sonny Gray, and he's pitching really well. Matthew Liberatore has been pitching a lot better, but a lot of times their quality starts are wasted when we can only score 1 or 2 runs, or sometimes none at all. And that's the part that I absolutely can't predict with this team. Are we going to see more consistency from them, or is it going to be this same up and down, win 4, lose 3? I just don't know. I can't tell.
Who's going to step up for this ball club and be that leader? And I'm really hoping it is our lone all-star this year, Brendan Donovan. So I'm looking at numbers right now, and obviously all teams in Major League Baseball, nobody can hit for average anymore. But he's hitting 297, and he's second on the team in runs scored with 51. We currently have 3 players that are projected to potentially or go over 100 runs scored this year. The thing is, we score in spurts. We lack the consistency and the clutch time factor to get it done when we need to on a consistent basis. So I'm looking at a Brandon Donovan, looking at Lars Newbar. I want to see more consistency out of him. He's got 50 runs scored this year in 88 games, but he's hitting 227.
Yeah.
I need more out of him. Wilson Contreras, he's on pace for over 90 runs scored. Victor Scott II could possibly steal 50 bases this year. He got 24 and 90. So all the potential is there. We just need to find something that's going to get this thing to click. And it doesn't require, and hopefully it doesn't require a cardboard cutout of Ollie Marmol dressed in lingerie like in Major League with Rachel Phelps. We don't need that kind of motivation.
Oh, my gosh.
But could we sprinkle some of this onto this pitching staff? Because you just saying the name Miles Michaelis just about made me want to vomit, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, I think they need to walk over to the Enterprise Center and borrow their Jobu idol to bring into the locker room for the second half. I think that would be really useful.
I would like that a whole lot, just because, and you said the key thing earlier, Mark, pitching. I don't feel comfortable with anyone on that mound in our rotation except for Sonny Gray.
Yeah.
That is all. And that's a problem.
Well,
that's a huge problem.
Yes, it is. The good news is help is coming in the form of a fireballing left-hander named Liam Doyle. He was the Cardinals' #1 draft pick. They picked him in the #5 spot. That's the highest draft pick that the Cardinals have had since they drafted J.D. Drew, I believe, way back in 1998, something like that. Liam Doyle is a left-hander out of the University of Tennessee. He consistently throws a fastball between 95 and 98. He's gotten that thing up to 102 before. He's also got a splitter and a curveball. You want to talk about fiery leadership on the mound. He's been compared in temperament, at least, to Cardinals legend Al Robosky.
That's what I was thinking, too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and get online and watch some video of Doyle pitching for Tennessee this year. He's just got some nasty stuff, and someone who throws that hard from the left side is a real advantage. And you can see how Chaim Bloom is already working at rebuilding what used to be the key to the Cardinals farm system. Now, Liam Doyle was the only lefty that they took, but they took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 right-handed pitchers over the 20 rounds of the Major League draft. So they're really loading up on pitching there. As far as the Cardinals' other top draft picks, with the 55th pick, they took Ryan Mitchell, an outfielder out of Georgia Tech. Doyle's teammate Tanner Franklin, another right-handed pitcher out of Tennessee. Jack Gervich, a first baseman from University of San Diego. Their fourth-round pick was a right-handed pitcher out of Oklahoma named Cade Crossland. He looks to be maybe a seventh man out of the bullpen, but he's got a 4-pitch repertoire. A right-handed pitcher, Ethan Young, out of East Carolina in the 5th round. And a big hitter out of Hawaii, outfielder Matthew Miura, who looks like he's got some pop in his bat, at least down at the college level. So that was the Cardinals' picks in the first 6 rounds. And then when you get down into the lower rounds, it's just mainly pitchers and shortstops. Looks like they drafted 3 shortstops, a third baseman, a catcher, and an outfielder. Now, these lower picks are obviously going to be developmental guys. But, that was the whole point of putting Mozeliak out to pasture and bringing Bloom in. Bloom was instrumental in rebuilding the farm system with the Boston Red Sox, and he is also out of the management lineage of the president of baseball operations out with the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are a perennial playoff team. And we've said this on the podcast many times. The Cardinals are a blue chip franchise. The expectation for the Cardinals should be playoffs every year. Anything less than the playoffs is not Cardinals baseball. We need to be playing meaningful.
Exactly.
We need to be playing meaningful games in October every year.
There's a standard that needs to be that needs to not just be maintained but exceeded. I'm so thankful that we put such a heavy emphasis on pitching in this draft. Doyle will bring something we have not had, and I believe scouting reports have him projected as either a short inning guy, because apparently he doesn't go deep in the games. That he has more of a closer's repertoire. Where we've already got an all-star caliber closer in Ryan Helsley. But you know what the Cardinals lack? Strikeout artists in the rotation.
Yeah.
We're 28th in the majors in strikeouts. Last year we were dead last, and we don't induce enough ground balls to keep the ERA low, because we're 20th in ERA for a team that is 5 games over 500.
Yeah.
For contrast, we're 10th in the league in runs scored and 11th in slugging percentage and batting average, but we're bottom 10 in pitching and we're bottom 3 in strikeouts on the mound.
Yeah, and where Doyle specializes is in strikeouts and ground balls.
Yes, that adheres to a need, and that will just only bolster the prospect pool for our pitching in the Cardinals system to go along with Tink Hence, who I am incredibly excited to see get called up to the show because he's an electric young pitcher for the Redbirds, and God knows we need it because you're trying to keep up with the Cubs, who not only can spend money, they've done a great job developing talent, and they also, I don't know, got this guy named PCA. You ever heard of Pete Crow Armstrong? Almost every team in this division has at least one or two thoroughbreds on their team. You got PCA and Kyle Tucker and Seiya Suzuki, who, by the way, did not make the All-Star game despite leading the majors in RBI, or the National League in RBIs.
Well,
but also with the Cincinnati Reds, you've got Ellie De La Cruz. And in Pittsburgh, for at least the next 2 years, you've got Paul Skeens and O'Neill Cruz. Where's our thoroughbred? Hopefully this young man turns out to be just that.
Yeah, and I am... Okay, this is my final decision. Not that it matters because no one's calling me and asking me what I think, but I do have this platform, so I'm going to say this. I think, again, unless the Cardinals just get an insanely one-sided trade offer for someone like Arenado, I think they stand pat at the trading deadline. Maybe they make a couple of minor moves, but I don't think they're going to be buyers or sellers. I think they're going to play the rest of the season with the team that they have. And by the way, I'm going to give a shout out to Ollie Marmol. He's done a great job coaching up a team that went into this season with negative expectations. You know, the expectation was that this was a team that could possibly lose 80 or 90 games and that was going to finish dead last. The fact that we are in the wild card conversation at all, I think, is a testament to how well Marmol has coached this team. You know, if he gets us to the playoffs, I think we're maybe looking at a contract extension. I think at the very least, you know, unless he and Bloom just don't get along at all, I think we can expect him to be back on the bench next season.
I would be very much in favor of that because this is a case of you're working with an organization that, I mean, the Cardinals historically are cheap. They have the ability to spend money and be aggressive, but it's not the Cardinal way, pal.
Right.
And Ollie and his group are doing a very good job maximizing at least offensively and defensively on the field, getting the most out of a lot of these guys. I mean, you take a Lars Nootbaar, I don't think he's going to be producing runs like he would be with a lot of other teams.
Right.
Or, another great example of the coaching this year is the plate improvement of Victor Scott II. His plate discipline's gotten so much better to the point we can effectively put him at the top of the lineup and let him get on base and get in front of people and create opportunities. And you see Mason Wynn's continued development. So I think folks were just jumping the gun on, fire Ollie. Answer me this. Who better would be available if you fired Ollie Marmol? Let's say we got off to a Colorado Rockies start in April. Who better are we going to find?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of Cardinals fans, they answer with their hearts and they say, well, Yadi Molina, and it's like, Yadi's a great guy, but he's never coached at any level, much less a major league team. So let's settle down with that.
And it does make a lot of difference. Obviously, Cardinals fans, just like any fan base, very emotional. We're going to wear that heart on our sleeve. But God gave you a brain for a reason. Let's use that first and use some rationale thought. Because people were yelling about firing Ollie like it was the back end of Joe Torre's run in St. Louis in '94 and '95.
Yeah.
Let's calm down a little bit. I remember early on people wanting Tony La Russa. Tony La Russa fired.
Yeah, there's a reason. Yeah, there's a reason why the word fan is short for fanatic. But that's going to wrap up our baseball discussion for today. Mike, tell the audience what we've got coming up in our next segment.
Coming up next, we have Poplar Bluff Mules football coach Jeff Mannon popping in with us on the sports desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle. We got to visit recently, and he is going to talk about the upcoming Mules football season, which, wow, is just over 6 weeks away. Opening night is August 29th down in Jonesboro, Arkansas, against the powerful Valley View Blazers, one of the top teams in Northeast Arkansas, and a team that has been a perennial playoff team in recent years. So it's getting close, and that's going to be a fun segment. And you are listening to the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle.
And welcome back to the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle. I'm Mike Bueller, and we are joined right now by Poplar Bluff Mules football coach Jeff Mannon, and we are going to take a little bit of a look at the upcoming season, which is only about 6 weeks away. Coach, we've talked a little bit about the schedule. It's similar to last year, different places, but, some good teams on. I'll let you tell me about that leading off.
Yeah. Hey, first of all, thanks for having me on here, Mike. Yeah, our schedule is pretty jam-packed early on. We start off with Valley View. Playing those Arkansas teams early in the season is kind of rough because they have spring ball over there, and they actually start practicing a week earlier than we do. So they get a lot more things going on before we can get going. So they're a little more advanced in their system versus what we get to around week 2 or 3. And, Arkansas, I believe, has open enrollment down there now, so they kind of get their pick of the Jonesboro area. So
wow.
They're a pretty talented football team. It's really good with litmus test. I think last year we actually competed pretty good against them. The scoreboard didn't say that. There was like 4 turnovers that ended up to touchdowns that kind of blew the game open. But I think if we would have played a mistake-free football game, it would have been a score or 2 game. So, the kids took that, and then leading into our second game, Chaminade, we were able to show them on tape kind of where we did good, where we did bad, and then we came out in Chaminade, and I don't think anybody gave us a chance to beat them because I don't think we ever beat Chaminade before, and we ended up beating them late in the game, holding them in a stop in the fourth quarter on defense, and ended up winning by a point, 2 points, something like that. But the kids really started finding their footing, and then we turned around and we had Farmington, or I think it was Farmington week 3.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, we had Farmington week 3. We had some injuries on defense last year that kind of forced us to play kids out of position, and we just had too many mistakes against an option football team that early in the season. And once we kind of went through that, and then we went through the Cape Jackson losses last year, the kids woke up and we finished the season on a good streak. We won our last 4 games. Kids started buying into everything that we were doing, and we've just been trying to continue that momentum right now. So.
Indeed. And, the thing I've noticed about this year's team, you've got an interesting blend. You've got some holes to fill, but you've also got some kids coming back to build around, and that's always good. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so our offensive line, we got 2 kids coming back that have experience playing on the offensive line last year. The rest of them are pretty green, and they're sophomores, juniors, a mix of that. We got Caleb Cassie that's looking to get some time, James Timms, and Christian Owambo. Carson Dinkins is going to get some time. So once those guys gel, which is what we've been working on in our summer workouts, and we can run our scheme effectively and be able to run it against any front, I think we'll get rolling. Quarterback's another big position. Right now, the battle's pretty much between Gage Earnhardt and Colt Clifford. They both do things well, and we're just kind of seeing where it goes. We may end up being a 2-quarterback system, something like that, have a running package and a throwing package. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, but both those guys have some really high upside. It's just they haven't had a lot of time on the field because we've had Jay the last few years. Skill position wise, our receivers, corners, safeties, I think it's some of the deepest we've had. I got guys like Patrick Slack, J.R. Lathan, Caden Jenkins, Devin Ferguson. Those kind of guys I think are going to be real big time contributors in moving football. Defensively, I think we're going to be pretty solid. We got a lot of returners coming back. The whole linebacking core is back. The safeties are back. We lost Spencer Nunn, but he missed a few games last season, so other guys got times. And both our corners are back. So, we lost Dylan Hall, but we have some guys competing to replace that. But defensively, we're way ahead of the curve right now than what we are offensively. So our summer's been, probably a 60-40 split defense, just trying to get everything to gel and get those kids used to playing together. So.
One cool thing, I remember Colt last year played some wide receiver for you, so that's cool that he may be making it switch to under center. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so Colt's just kind of a gadget player. I graduated with his dad, so he's kind of like been a son to me since he got into the football program when I saw him coming up and everything. We talked about it when he was a freshman. I was like, hey, when you get older, you might end up playing quarterback, and he thought I was kind of kidding him. But now that last year ended, we kind of opened it up and just tried to get him the tools necessary to develop the skills to have the potential to play that, just to give us some competition, if anything, at quarterback and some depth and things like that. He's going to kind of be an offensive tool weapon. He's got a spot. He's competing for a spot on defensive safety. He started there last year. There's a good chance he'll get some playing time there. But knowing quarterback, he knows all the positions, so he can line up and play our X, Z, Y, wing, A back, whatever. He can jump in and play everything, and that's really nice because it provides us depth with a really talented kid on a bunch of levels. So.
Good deal. I remember Devin was a really good running back for you guys last year. That's a nice cornerstone to have.
Yeah, Devin's a real hard-working kid. He came in with a chip on his shoulder, and it took a little bit to correct his attitude to a positive way, and I think he's done a really good job of it. We started a leadership class. We went to Sykeston. SEMO had this leadership seminar, and I took 13 kids, and that just became our leadership academy. Devin was on one of them, and he's just really kind of ran with it. Those guys, we meet with them. We're trying to teach them how to be leaders, because we always tell kids, like, oh, we don't have any leaders. Kids don't know how to lead, so we're trying to teach them how to lead and provide that aspect in the culture building. And it's been really effective this year. Kids have bought into it. They get to make decisions on things as a whole. And if they have a problem with something in practice, if they want to make a suggestion, they go to the leadership committee, and then they come and meet with us as coaches, once or twice a week, and we can make adjustments in practice and everything like that. But no, Devin, for the most part, he's a hardworking kid. He's one of the most physical players that we have on the team right now. He's not really big. He's probably running around $170 or something like that. But he packs a good punch in his hips, and he reads really well, has good vision with the ball, and he's playing pretty good linebacker right now too. So.
Cool deal. And you said you got a lot of kids back on defense. How nice is it to have that to build around?
Well, it's nice because the kids know the scheme, the system, they know the expectations, and we started off the year pretty rough on defense last year, but once we kind of zeroed in our scheme to what we wanted to do, the kids really got to flying around. Bryce Dobbs ended up having a heck of the season. He ended up being our defensive award winner last year for most points. And Larkins missed a few games, but Larkins was doing really well towards the end of the year playing the outside linebacker. And Caden Jenkins has been a starting linebacker for the last 2 years. So cool. He's a little bit on the undersized, but he plays like Devin does, plays with a chip on his shoulder, flies around, really good ball tracker and things like that. But since we're kind of undersized on the linebacker level, we've been working, block shedding and things like that to do when we make contact in a hole, and trying to teach them ways to use their athleticism versus power to do things. But, just as a whole defensively, I'm excited for what these guys can do. Just scheme-wise, we don't have a lot of install going on right now, so we're able to teach a lot of techniques and next-level things that we haven't been able to do in the past. So.
Good deal. And when you were talking about leadership, you made me think of something. We've talked in the past about how you're wanting to really build a program here. Mm-hmm. You've had a year to do that. You're in your second year of it now. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So, last year I came in with all these grand schemes of things, and football kind of fell to the wayside. So I had to recenter myself during the season and realize, hey, this is off-season stuff I got to do. Because last year I didn't get to hit the ground running until July 1, and when I hit it was just a whole different speed. So it took more time to develop these things that I wanted to. Well, this last offseason, I was able to, being at the high school, start developing these things. And I think it's really helped out. We got this leadership class that we're doing. We're working with football all the way down to kindergarten in Poplar Bluff. All the flag football teams are running our plays.
I like it.
Yep. All the youth programs are running our stuff. We meet with those guys. We give them the playbooks. Our older guys are going to help out with the youth camps this year that we're going to have later on. And to build a football culture, you got to have everybody involved from top to bottom. If there's any kind of break in the system, then your system falls apart. But, if those kids are growing up and they only know our offense and our defense that they have ever run, then you can start teaching next-level techniques that gets us to where Jackson is, that gets us to where Cape is. Part of the reason Jackson got to where they were was Coach Eckley went to Webb City while they were rolling. And they didn't run the same offense, same defense, but he saw that kids in third grade could run what the high school was running. And until we can get to that point, you can't really develop an effective program football-wise. But the stuff off the field is what I think has been the most exciting in the offseason, just developing these kids as far as classwork and community service and things like that, getting them to realize whole character development versus like, hey, we're just lifting weights and playing football, and getting them to buy into that process has been huge. Our practices are, about 98% positive most of the time. The kids aren't jumping on each other anytime anything's wrong. They're supporting each other. It's a culture that we hadn't had here in a while. So.
Good deal. And anything else you'd like to add as we wrap up the segment?
Just as excited to see, I think one of the things that Poplar Bluff sports has been missing for a while is the backing from the community. It's not that we don't get a lot of backing at all, but to pack the stands on a Friday night is just something that's crazy for these kids to play for. When they know they have a whole community playing behind them and they look and they see full thing of stands, it's a lot harder for them to accept defeat and things like that. I just think the more people we can get in the stands and the more rallying we can get behind Poplar Bluff athletics, I think the better we're going to be overall as a community and as an athletic program.
Good deal, Coach. I look forward to it. And that has been Poplar Bluff Mules football coach Jeff Mannon here on the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle, and we will be back in just a bit.
And we are back on the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle, and we are switching from high school football to the National Football League. And Mark's got some interesting thoughts, and Mark, I'm just going to say, take her away.
Yeah, and I think this is probably going to end up being a regular segment called What Are They Smoking at ESPN.
Oh, okay, this already sounds fun.
Yeah, in preparation for the NFL season they are going through. And now, Jeremy Fowler, who's a pretty good writer at ESPN, I'm not going to hand him the blame for this because these rankings, they say, are based on a poll of NFL executives and coaches. So they've been looking at some of the other positions, and today the wide receivers list came out. Now, we can look at any of these because this is like the next to last day. The ones that are coming out, their final one's going to be cornerbacks coming out tomorrow. But this was the first thing that popped up today. This is their top 10 wide receivers. Now, I suppose that the top two rankings are arguable, but it's still a travesty. Number one is Jamar Chase from Cincinnati. Number two, Justin Jefferson of the Minnesota Vikings.
That's apples to apples. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Here's the thing though. Jamar Chase, everyone picked him because he had the triple crown of receivers in catches, receiving yards, and touchdowns. Of course he did. The Bengals were down by 28 points in the first half of every game. They had to throw the ball all over the field.
No running game.
Yeah, no running game, no defense. Of course, when the Cincinnati quarterback is above 40 pass attempts in every game, they're going to pad those numbers. The point is, it didn't result in anything. Whereas Justin Jefferson is the most lethal weapon in the NFL in terms of receivers. Coaches and players alike describe him as uncoverable. You simply cannot cover him.
Not a Vikings uncoverable, never have.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I think if you gave 32 general managers the opportunity, said you can have either Chase or Jefferson, who are you taking? I'm betting it more than 20 are taking Justin Jefferson.
So you've already taken umbrage with 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And that's justified, and I'm sure there's no bias at all. I can't wait.
Yeah. Number 3 is Tyreek Hill from Miami, which I am just baffled about. I mean, Hill, yeah, he's fast, but I mean, honest to goodness, what did he do last season? I mean, he only
959 yards.
Yeah, 959 yards. And it's just, it's ridiculous. Number 4 is even with C.D. Lamb, Dallas Cowboys. Really? Really?
Dallas has nobody to throw to but C.D. Lamb.
But that's America's team, y'all. Come on, now.
Oh, my God.
He's
Just
an elite talent.
ridiculous.
He's not in a good situation.
No, he's not. And it talks about he had a banner season in 2023. I'm sorry, I thought last year was 2024. Well, he didn't have a good season because Dak Prescott was hurt for half of the season, and the reason he had a great year in 23 is because he was Prescott's only receiver. Number 5 is A.J. Brown, Philadelphia Eagles. No argument. He needs to be ranked higher than that. Here's who I would put at number 3 is their number 6 ranked, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Detroit Lions. Like Jefferson, you can't cover him. He simply cannot be covered.
And he finds a way to get open on everything. Like, I'm looking at his numbers right now, and obviously numbers always, they never tell the full story. Bottom line, this dude caught 81.6% of his targets.
I know. It's ridiculous. And the thing of it is, when you watch the Detroit Lions on offense, when they get to third down, it's like, okay, the ball's going to St. Brown, and it does, and he's wide open behind, beyond the first down marker every single time. It's just, I feel bad for the other teams in the North and the other teams that have to play Detroit on defense, but playing against Detroit's offense, because now, it might change this year now that Ben Johnson has moved to the head coaching spot in Chicago, but just playing against that Detroit defense is so frustrating because it just seems that their playmakers are always getting the job done when they need that big play. That's what was so surprising about their loss to Washington.
Yeah, and because Washington is in their passing game is almost death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Yeah, it really is. And credit to Jared Goff for knowing what to do with the weapons that he has to work with. Number 7 is one of the most egregious examples of New York City bias. Number 7 is Malik Neighbors of the Giants.
I love Malik Neighbors, but what quarterback is there to throw him a football?
Yeah, I mean, yes, he's a good receiver, and he had a really good season. But again, he's the only person that whoever New York had playing for quarterback.
Mark, let me break this down for you. The Giants only had 4 players average 10 yards per reception last year, and one of those players only had 3 catches. Rondell Robinson had 93 receptions, but averaged 7.5 yards per catch.
Yeah. Yes, Neighbors had a great rookie season. He's obviously going to be a talent in the league. Is he the 7th best wide receiver in the National Football League going in to this year? No, he's not.
They're saying he's better than Garrett Wilson by that measure.
Please. Number 8. I don't have anything against Nico Collins of the Houston Texans. He's a fine receiver, but he had a devastating knee injury at the end of 2023 and did not fully come back from that. So, if you want to talk about what he was before the injury and what maybe you hope he would, but if you're just looking at going into this season, I don't see how you can put Collins back in the top 10 until he can show us that he has fully recovered from that injury.
His numbers projected really well but he missed 5 games. 68 for 1,006 yards, 7 touchdowns again, but he also, once again, not fully healthy, and he's playing on a Houston Texans team who I think is a sneaky Super Bowl pick, provided that C.J. Stroud's allowed to stand up and throw the football.
Yeah.
Like, in similar he got bludgeoned last year. Nico, if you take care of C.J. Stroud, he could get into that echelon of a true top 10 There's a lot of names I'm not hearing here, though.
Yeah, like Jordan Addison. Where's Jordan in this? Number 9 is Mike Evans in Tampa Bay. I mean, I guess is there a more? Here's the thing. Yes, Tampa's a playoff team, but they're just mid. You know, I mean, there's nothing that excites me about the Bucks. It's like, yeah, they're good. You know, they're good. But are they good in the NFC North? Are they good in the NFC West? Are they good in the AFC East? I mean, you know,
that division's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, when you get to play Atlanta, Carolina, and New Orleans twice every season, it's like if you don't go 5-1, you don't need to be in the conversation about being a good team.
And here's the thing: Mike Evans he's going to be a Hall of Famer. You know who he reminds me of at his position? Curtis Martin. Quiet, unassuming, but he's just Mr. Consistency. You can always chalk him up for 80 catches, 1,000 yards, and about 9-10 touchdowns a year.
Yeah.
And
no, I don't have a problem with Evans being in the conversation. The aforementioned Garrett Wilson shows up at number 10 from the New York Jets. Here's who they left out. These are the honorable mentions. Terry McLaurin of the Washington Commanders. Scary Terry, as you said, on many occasions.
How about DJ Moore? Like, what?
Yeah, not in the conversation. Not in the conversation. Here's a top 10 receiver who didn't get any mention. Puka Nacua, Los Angeles Rams.
I wasn't gonna put my man on because I'm not about to flex all that. But yes,
yeah,
I'll absolutely take from my man Puka. Even though the numbers were down, only 3 touchdowns this past year. You know, like I said, other names I'm not hearing, and yes, I know he was a catch merchant on a team without a lot of explosive weapons. Jerry Jeudy was fantastic last year. He deserves some flowers.
Yeah.
Drake London is the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL. And I'm going to give a shout out to my boss. He's the world's biggest Falcons fan.
Yeah.
And I absolutely.
Yeah, here's some other players who just got votes but weren't in the discussion. Jackson Smith-Njigba in Seattle. You mentioned DJ Moore in Chicago. Calvin Ridley, the Titans. Of course, the Titans are a woeful team. I think you're going to see his numbers go up. Again, look at Jordan Addison's stats for last season and compare him to any of these people. I mean, Addison is a number 1 wide receiver who's playing in the 2 spot because he's playing behind the best player in the NFL.
Yeah, his numbers are fantastic. He's as a slot guy, 9 touchdowns and almost 14 yards per catch as a slot guy.
Yeah.
That's still.
You know, and your dog is so upset about this list that he can't stop barking. That's really impressive. One last thing that I want to close up our NFL discussion with, and I want to shout out a big Bronx cheer to a high school in Northwest Miami who has suspended their state championship head coach, NFL quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater. Now, everybody knows my deep and abiding love for Teddy and thinking about what might have been if his knee hadn't exploded in training camp. But Teddy Bridgewater spent literally tens of thousands of dollars. I'm not exaggerating. I didn't see the total amount, but it's somewhere in the area of $30,000 to $40,000 of his own money to support his football team that he coached out of I believe it's Miami Northwest or Northwest Miami. I didn't actually look it up. Anyway, he told the high school, he gave them an accounting. He's like, this is all the money that I spent. And what did he spend his money on? Food, equipment, recovery resources, Ubering his players from their homes to the school or to the game so that they could play. He willingly spent all of this money, reported it. He said, "This is the money that I've spent." And in return for the favor, the high school has suspended him for providing his players with improper benefits. Let's be realistic about this. This school wouldn't have a football team, much less a state championship trophy in their case, if it wasn't for Teddy Bridgewater. And the fact that they have suspended him instead of giving him a medal and a key to the city is one of the most atrocious examples of Florida-based stupidity that I've seen in recent memory. And let's be honest, you could write a volume of books about Florida stupidity, but this is an absolute outrage, what they have done to Teddy in return for everything that he's done for those kids.
I agree. It reminds me of two things. One, the 285th Ferengi rule of acquisition, which says no good deed ever goes unpunished. And it also makes me think of the 1980s when Brian Bosworth referred to the NCAA as the National Communists Against Athletes. This sounds like that.
Yeah, Kyle, your take.
I feel as to what the problem is here. And quick shout out to ultra successful Uncle Ocho. I was listening to Nightcap last night, and Shannon Sharp and Chad Johnson just went off about this entire situation. And Chad's he's from Florida, so he grew up in neighborhoods pretty similar to what some of these young men have. So he understands a lot of these parents don't have the means to provide all the necessities that their sons need in terms of food, equipment, and transportation all the time. When you have a man who is from that community, chooses to use his financial resources that he has earned throughout his playing career to give back and help these young men and show them the example of what they want. If this is what you want to attain in life by playing football, I'm going to use my resources to show you the example and the framework. Somehow this is a problem?
Yeah. I've pulled up Teddy's social media post in which he was actually, this is how it came out. He was soliciting donations from supporters to help him cover these costs. Weekly meals for the boys, $1,500 a week. He conducted training camp in which he spent $14,000 for a 4-night camp, 3 hot meals a day from locally owned black restaurants and a snack on some of these days. So not only is he supporting the kids, he's supporting minority businesses in the community. $9,500 for pride sets for the players so that they can look like a team. So that's probably not uniforms, but you know, like here at Three Rivers, you'll see on game days, the players will all be wearing, their sweat suits, their pregame wear, T-shirts, things like that. He spent $300 just to keep the field painted with lines and numbers. $1,300 a week to have recovery trucks. So I suppose that's like hot tubs and cold tubs, which are necessary after you've played a football game. $2,200 a week to feed the team a pregame meal. $700 on Uber fares. And this is what Teddy wrote. Hear me out. This isn't a cry out for help, but more so a coach seeking donations. I will post the fundraising packages I put together later today, and I'll provide my foundation's bank account information later today. He is servicing a school that doesn't have the money to support this type of football operation, and he was doing it out of his own pocket. And obviously, none of the officials at the school responded to any request for comment from the press. because what are they going to say? You know, we're dumber than Ron DeSantis.
Mark, not only that, he doesn't work for the school district.
No, he's a volunteer. He's a volunteer. I know. It's outrageous. It is outrageous. You know, you find yourself at a loss for words because you're trying to make some sense out of this. You know, you're trying to make this make sense. You know, and I'm wondering if there's more to the story. I'm wondering if, you know, somebody in a position of power didn't call somebody complaining about this in some way. I think there's more to the story. To Teddy's credit, he goes, "Fine, I'll just coach from the bleachers the way I did in 2018 and 2019 when none of y'all had a problem with it."
You know what? He needs to be polishing up his resume, and every high school in that area who is looking for a head coach needs to be calling up Teddy Two Gloves immediately, because that level of philanthropy out of his own pocket, with no urges from the school administration or their athletic department to raise money for this football program and help these young men out. Everybody else in that area who needs a head coach or has one but already realizes, oh, we can do way better than what we got. You call that man right now. Eddie Bridgewater has expressed it to the community that he is giving back to, and just in general. So the fact that you would waste a resource like this and then publicly embarrass him when he is going to bat, and remember, coaches are also parental figures for student athletes. You're gonna punish that. That's such a bad example for these young men. Like, dang, what if I was in this situation and did the same thing? Are these folks going to do the same thing to me?
Yeah, it's
kind of example the administration said.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about it except to Miami Northwestern High School. You know, you get our losers of the week from the sports desk.
I think we just created a new segment.
That sounds like a good segment. Losers of the week. I like this.
And I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of bent. I'm bent out of shape right now after listening to this. Whew.
Wow. Oh wow, guys. We got anything else this week?
Yeah, it is. We are recording on Wednesday. Usually we do Thursdays, but my schedule demanded we go a day earlier. But that's a good coincidence because for most NFL teams, training camp opens a week from today on July 23rd, and then on Monday, July 28th, that's when they can put on pads and start the real practice. So the NFL is not just weeks, but mere days away from restarting, getting geared up for the 2025 season.
There is light at the end of the tunnel.
Now 50 days away.
Yep.
Good deal, guys. Well, that's another exciting show for this week. I'm Mike Bueller.
I'm Mark Sanders.
And this is Kyle Roberts.
And you've been listening to the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle.